At the beginning of this video, one thing that I need to say above all else is this. You need your stories. Your stories need you. And the world, more so than ever before, needs your stories. I believe this with every fiber of my being, and I don't say that in any sort of weird, ironical way or trying to be hyperbolic or anything like that, because it is absolutely true. And because this statement is true, it makes one of the worst hot takes I've recently heard in the past week even worse. And that is what this rant is all about. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and throughout this video it will mostly be Elden Ring footage, lots of great violence to go along with these emotions that I have. And then secondly, Camille's Harem is not a political channel. We care far more about your fictional politics, the politics of your story, should you decide to explore them, because that's a whole lot of fun. And yet, so many people have decided to take our treasured storytelling and make it political. And this is aggravating, and this is where one of the worst hot takes comes out of. Now then, whether you're in America or not, really this shouldn't actually matter in terms of storytelling, and I hope to prove by the end of this video why not. But there are loads of people going around saying, huzzah, Hollywood is saved, the day is saved, great movies, great stories, great books are coming back because so-and-so has been voted into the White House. And what is absolutely shocking to me is how many YouTubers are out there claiming this, heralding it, and yet in the same breath, or even in the same day, then turning around and pointing out, rightly so, that Lucasfilm is making yet more stupid announcements for movies and shows that will never be made. Lucasfilm is in an absolutely dismal state right now, and Disney, though their stock is going up, they aren't doing too well either. They've had some good movies this year, but the parks aren't doing well. A lot of their shows haven't been doing well. They've been removing their good shows. It is a mess, to say nothing of all the great cartoons that are now being deleted from streaming platforms and the likes. And then also, let's have a look at what's happening with the publishing industry. Yep, cheap, smutty romantasy books are flying off shelves and inspiring yet more terribly written bland smut. Yay! You think that one person from either party, or even better yet, from any political party anywhere in the world, is somehow going to magically fix all of this? The answer is no, because the problems are so much more deeper seated. Even before the person in question had been voted in the first place 8 years ago, there was already many troubling trends portending something that we didn't yet realize was going to be so bad, with how lazier writers were being rewarded, how people were just simply taking tropes at face value and doing the most stereotypical, bland, sometimes even offensive things with them. And it's only been getting worse year after year after year, and laziness keeps getting rewarded while very talented writers and creators have been shunted off to the side. As a result, Hollywood is a mess, which has then prompted the publishing industry to turn into a mess, because publishers want their authors' books to get picked up and turned into great big blockbusters, and so they search what they think Hollywood wants, and those are the authors and the books that they promote to the detriment of so many other great creators out there, which makes it even harder than for someone who's trying to break in and tell a new and inventive story to ever get discovered, to ever be given a chance. And while indie animation and indie publishing and other forms of indie creation have been on the rise and will continue to be on the rise and do some amazing things in the near future, it's still the Wild West out there. It's still really rough. It is an uphill climb. Do you really think that one person, even if they come in with all these other grandstanding politicians, are going to save the day? The answer is no, because politicians are more interested in their own power, legacy, and money, and their ideology than they are in your entertainment. And while your entertainment might touch on their policy making, on what they want their legacy to be, and even on some of their ideology, the fact of the matter is that movies, shows, and books are really far down the list of priorities for any politician. And if it happens to be one of their main priorities, you might actually want to turn around and run away, because usually that politician is worse than the worst producer who thinks that they are a genius, but really is nothing more than an interfering corporate hack. Months and months ago, I did a video that wasn't really well watched or received about how Elon Musk wasn't going to save your movies or your books. And that's still the truth. I keep hearing all these people saying Elon Musk is now going to save the video game industry with his billions of dollars. Elon Musk is busy now with politics, and he's busy trying to save various companies that he has from going under. Elon Musk, though, he says that he wants greater video games and all of those jiggle physics. Elon Musk is going to have to shell out hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire a studio, or spend hundreds of millions of dollars to create his own studio, and then it's going to take years to put any sort of game into motion, into practice, and that's even considering that the game is even any good and that its story is even any good. And the same goes for any book or any movie. Production on any good story, especially mainstream, takes forever. It takes a long time to write the ship, to write the course of any particular trend. It takes years. And that is if people are even in agreement that this should be done. It is difficult. It is so difficult to make a splash. And I have a rant actually done by another great creator who's joined us over at our Discord. I've got a rant that I will share from them. And just quickly as a side note right here, if you do wish to join our Discord server of other novice authors, then please reach out to us in the comments. We would love to talk with you and have you along for this adventure that we call writing. So zooming out even further, take out the politics, the ideology, everything like that, and just think about the presence that someone might have that people say, this is the chosen one, this person will save the day. If that were true, Brandon Sanderson would already have saved all of fantasy, because this prolific writer is cranking out amazing masterpiece after amazing masterpiece. And the fact of the matter is, no, he hasn't saved fantasy. It's one of the reasons why we are stuck with that awful Wheel of Time adaptation over at Amazon. He didn't have the power to change things the way that he knew that they needed to be. And on top of that, not everyone likes Brandon Sanderson or his books. So, as a result, he's not going to save the day. I remember when everyone was saying that George R.R. Martin was going to save television. He was going to save fantasy. He was going to save horror. By golly, this man was going to save the world with his stories. And what do we have? We're still waiting for Winds of Winter, and now we're stuck with the stupid sexplanations trope. Yeah, thank you, George. Go back and finish Winds of Winter, if you can. And I really don't think we're ever going to see him ever finish his series, and it won't even be finished well. We got the ending that he intended back in the show, but the show botched it. That's a rant for another time, though. And also, there's just so many other people that you can think of who should have saved the day for any kind of genre. And even someone as venerated, as awesome, as almost beyond reproach as J.R.R. Tolkien, while Tolkien did shape a lot of what we consider to be fantasy today, there were other amazing authors before him, after him, and during his time who all shaped fantasy. And even though we call him the grandfather, the granddaddy of fantasy, no, his books did not save us from all of the garbage that we are right now wading through today. There is no one savior who's going to come and change everything to make it the best for everyone. That doesn't happen. And while I know that some people are like, well, Lars, they're just being hyperbolic. No, it's not even that. It's a sense of laziness. It is a sense of passing the buck of blame to someone else. That's what this is. This stupidity in thinking that one person, whether a storyteller or creator or some politician, is somehow going to save the state of storytelling is redonkulous. Kick that idea off of the nearest cliff, and hopefully it flies and soars to splat a mile away, because It is a dumb idea that's simply meant to divorce people from their responsibility to the issue. And if you are willing, again, to step back, zoom on out, and be a little bit more critical, be a little bit more honest with yourself, you'll realize it's not just the creators in Hollywood who've developed this horrible situation, and then the publishers. Oh yes, they definitely shoulder a good amount of the blame, but on so many of us, on the fans who didn't hold them accountable soon enough, and also to the fans who didn't go to and start doing indie projects soon enough. Or for the people who actually tried to do that, which is great on them, but then proceeded to promote other horrible things that happened. And then when we turn on each other and backbite and backstab without showing any respect to each other, so much of this has happened. And all of us have been guilty of some of this at some point or another, myself included. I'm not going to say that I did not contribute in some small way to some of the problems that unfortunately plague us right now. It's just, that's the case. And here's the beautiful thing. If you're willing to accept that that's the fact of the matter, you also then get to accept the fact that you and I have the power to begin changing this situation. You don't need to wait for some crazy, obscure savior to then come and rescue us all, or someone to vote into power to rescue us all, because that doesn't happen. No, when it comes to storytelling, it is about storytellers deciding to take the bull by the horns, learn how to improve their craft, put in the effort to finish their stories, that's important, and make their stories the best that they can be. And then wade into that sea of affliction, of self-promotion, of editing, of networking, of footing the really steep bill sometimes to put in the advertising or the work, or to, again, get those creations, get those people to help you out, to get your story out there to the masses, or if you want to animate it, or to get the right author to create beautiful illustrations to go along with your story, to create the music to go along with your story, the advertisings, whatever it be. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and for the people who are willing to take the plunge and really go the distance, even if they fail, even if they get some things wrong, you guys are heroes in my eyes, because I know what you are going through. It is rough. And it is something that more of us can support. Even if we are not willing or able to go on that journey ourselves, we as novice authors can still do our part to support and help other creators. And for ourselves, make our stories the best they can be. Because remember, you need your stories. Your stories need you. And the world needs your stories. You become elevated as a person in amazing ways. You learn, you grow, you become more confident as you write your stories. And as you write your stories, they come to life, and you just discover worlds and people that you never thought you would ever have imagined before. And it's amazing how you just fall in love with them, and how you just go on this incredible adventure of self-discovery with your fictional characters. And when you bring that journey to other people, it is so amazing, so liberating, so ennobling to share this with other people. Though my books have only made it into the hands of a relative few amount of people, the conversations that I've had with others, from other creators to teenagers to adults who have honestly read my books and decided to discuss them with me, oh my gosh, the things that I've learned from them and the joys that they've gone on with some of my adventures, it is something that I honestly have a hard time putting into words. It's so wonderful. And when I've experienced stuff like that, why would I ever give up that feeling, that experience, to some producer, to some other creator who doesn't care about me, or even worse, to some politician who really doesn't know what they're talking about when it comes to storytelling? Because again, they're a politician, not a storyteller, unless they can spin a really good yarn. Beyond that, no, there's no one who can take me on that journey other than myself. There's no one who can take you on that journey for yourself other than you. Which is why it's time for us to kind of get off our duffs and to accept the fact of the matter that no one person, storyteller to politician, is going to change the playing field. And if you're at this point and you're like, Lars, I'm going to write some angry response because quite clearly you do not like my politician, well, okay then, but please hold on just a moment here and listen to a rant from someone who's not only a great author, but someone who has gone even further than me into the world of Hollywood itself. So over at our Discord server, which again, if you wish to join that, please let us know in the comments, and we'd like to have a discussion with you and see what we can do to help you, and then guide you on over to our Discord. We would love to have you join us on this adventure. Now, one of the people who's joined us on our adventure over at our Discord server, Akota, has had the experience of making movies. It's pretty incredible. Now then, they were willing to share with me their experience, and I got permission to share it with you. So here is Akota's rant about the problems behind the scenes that most people are not willing to talk about. So here we go. We all know the industry is toxic and hard to break into, but do you know how toxic? People will try to undersell your work at every turn, which is why guilds exist. But you have to have a feature or a certain number of TV episodes to be allowed into the SGA or WGA. So you are a talent writer or actor in a sea of talented writers and actors, just another face in the crowd, holding your script over your head, shouting for a slice of attention. It's about who you know inside the industry more than your personal skills or talents. And it's difficult to meet and even harder to impress industry people. I've heard of producers who have no pitching clauses to their basic friends. And I've done it traditionally. I cold called and messaged producers with my scripts and got some traction. I got 2 options and a total of $5,000, which is more than most people often get. $1, count it, $1 options are now commonplace. Imagine getting paid $1 for all your hard work, for all those hours of work. That's rough. I get paid more than that doing all the work I do. But those movies rarely get made, not unless you make them yourself, stepping away from purely writing into becoming an indie filmmaker. It's a whole new field to learn and an ungodly expensive one. So pull the trigger, make your own movie. It had better be a feature rather than a short. If you want the industry to talk to you, that is. Having a full-length feature is how to get people to talk to you. Possibly. It had better be well received on the film festival circuit too. So you make a feature film for the low price of $120,000 US from your own pockets and loans. I met a guy who sold his house to make a film and moved into his parents' basement at the age of 40. Now, you did it! You have a feature on the film festival circuit, and you finally get meetings with distribution companies. Good news! Netflix, Amazon, or Tubi will take your feature for the high price of $40,000 US, with the distributor taking half. You're $100,000 in the hole, but you have your foot in the door. Am I in a pyramid scheme meeting? People do this. It's about their own way, but it's such a toxic way to do it. But there's so many people who are willing to lose these vast amounts of money that this is the current pattern, because it makes other people really good money and allows them to push you down the hill if they want to. I inserted that bit. This is how you break into the industry in 2024. Movies are insanely expensive to make these days, so studios want quote-unquote safe bets who appeal to all audiences. But that's not how storytelling works, and these blockbuster movies are designed by committees based on trends and what's worked before, but not about what's working now. Often producers send a dude to be a go-between or possibly the marketing team to talk with the producer on set, but the producers are thinking about profit. So product placement, what worked before, bankable stars, wide audience appeal with a PG-13 rating, these are all things that are needed, but they're not necessarily storytellers. If it costs them $100 million to make the movie, and marketing can cost up to $250 million, then they want the safest path to make that movie happen. But this isn't art! They aren't really making movies, in my opinion. They're just making content. Their goal is profit, never storytelling. Breaking in traditionally is insanely expensive, overcrowded, and will break your soul. I think the future is things like Murder Drones by Liam Vickers. Just upload it to the people. It's still incredibly expensive to do, but you don't have distributors and studios being vampires and puppeteers. You will own the copyright to your project. And hey, if you're going to dump $100K that you can somehow magically find, better just do it yourself. And places like Netflix will be happy to take it once you can already bring in an audience attached to your project. And you'll be in a much stronger negotiating position to own the rights to your own story. So you don't get screwed over like Olin Rogers was. And he's got a really good interview on over with Glitch about all of that. We'll have a link for that in the description. So, for instance, you can go and tell them that, hey, if you don't decide to host this content anymore, I get my rights back because I still hold on to them. Hey. And because the indie market is just so oversaturated, there is no change coming there. There are so many people that prices will remain predatory. And for the big studios, the market isn't buying what they're selling as much. But the cost of filmmaking is still going up and up. So they have to bank on safe bets to keep that profit margin goal in mind. So if you're indie, you will lose money. The market is not going to correct for that anytime soon. If you're a big budget studio, start making smaller films, the type that streaming absorbed 10 years ago, where you don't need 600 to 700 million to break even. Does no one else see just how insane this is? Yes, and this is actually one of the things, Lars, again, kind of interposing a little bit right here. This is what makes me so angry when I heard that hot take. Because I heard that stupid hot take that one guy voted into the White House will somehow fix all of this came from the same people who 3 years ago, and even before that, were showing how these over-bloated movies would never make any money and were actually deteriorating, destroying the film industry, and were retarding good storytelling and destroying the expectations that people should have for creators and storytellers. It's these same stupid people who think that one little guy is somehow going to change everything so that way they can divorce themselves from their own responsibilities to help make this industry what it ought to be. And that infuriates me to see creators taking the easy way out and shoving the blame and responsibility onto someone else and then hoping that somehow it will all magically fix itself. That is stupid. That doesn't work in politics and it does not work for storytelling. So get over yourselves. Whew, so my little rant right there done. Let's finish off this other rant. Now, all of this which has just been stated, none of this touches on the impact of artificial intelligence. Since the motivation is profit, it will also be a player in stories going forward. AI will lower the cost for indie creators who want to see their works made, but also for the larger studios who want to cut corners and maximize their profits. And that already opens up another can of worms to just so much else. So, thank you, Akoda, for letting me give your rant, and also for letting me have a chance to kind of put in my own bits. And I'm sorry for anyone whose eardrums I just blew out, but, oh my gosh, it has to be said. This ticks me off. It ticks me off that from right, left, center, back, front, that everyone wants an easy, lazy solution to the big problems that plague so many creatives. But the problem is that there's no easy solution. If there was, I would be rolling in dough right now. As a guy who has published 9 books and has been working on YouTube now for nearly 6 years, you would think that if there's an easy solution, that he would have found it by now and he'd be doing really well. No. It is so hard to be a creator. It's so hard to be a novice storyteller. And yet, it's worth it. I really do believe that it is. But it does require sacrifice, it requires balance, it requires a ton of hard work, it requires time, it requires luck, it requires the support of so many amazing people, friends and family and strangers who are going to help you make your stories the best that they can be. And that is the journey worth going on. No, there is no easy solution. I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care what country you're in. Though that does not matter. That does not refute the realities of storytelling. And as Akoda has so well illustrated for us, It's a big problem. The industry is not going to change anytime soon. And remember what I said earlier, that publishers are incentivized to find the books that they believe that Hollywood wants right now and to promote those books and those authors above all others. They are not putting in the work, the effort necessary to find a whole lot of other new and refreshing creators with new stories to tell and promoting those people and giving them a chance. Part of it is because it's a gamble, and I understand that publishing companies need to make their money. They absolutely do. Otherwise, they would fall apart, and then none of us would have easy access, or at least any kind of access, I should say, to the powers of traditional publishing and everything that makes possible. So I understand that they need to make money, but you can see that laziness has also infected traditional publishing. And it's caused so many problems and will continue to cause more problems. And for those people who think, well, no, things are going to change here really, really soon. No! You want to know why? Because those lazy, smutty romantasy stories, which is just smut with a thin veneer of interesting fantasy layered over it. No! That's what's going to be produced next! Expect within the next 3 to 4 years for Hollywood and all of the companies and studios under that umbrella to start pursuing romantasy. And if you don't like that, then you're not going to like what's coming in the near future. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say, no easy solution. The trends are against us. And yet, there is hope. Now, how can a guy like me say that there's hope after all of these rants that I've just detailed out here in this one video alone? Woo! The reason why there is hope is because, thanks to the indie scene, there are now tons of opportunities for you to make your own projects and creations and get it out to people who will support you. Yes, it's never going to be as big and grand as what Hollywood can make or what traditional publishing can do. That's just going to be the fact of the matter. But that doesn't mean that it still can't be great on its own. We see the rise of indie animation being spearheaded, for instance, by Glitch Productions, which is absolutely awesome. And there are loads of indie authors who are right now going out to all kinds of festivals all over the country and even all over the world to introduce people to their books. You'll find so many people who are authors who are beginning to network, who are working through those networks to find the right artists, to find the right editors, the right publicists, the right advertisers to help them make their stories the best that they can be and to reach out to other people. There are loads of Kickstarters and GoFundMes that are all about bringing these amazing dreams to fruition. And while many unfortunately do flop and fall flat on their face, that's going to happen to loads of people. It's incredible how many of them actually get to go somewhere. It is amazing. Within Camille's harem, just within our own little group, we have gotten to see stories come to life. We're getting to see young creators rising up and improving their craft. And it's not just for book writers. It's also for game makers. It's for cartoonists. It's for people who want to make their own shows, for people who want to make their own movies. Sure, they might not make it, but you know what's amazing? That they're aiming for it, that they're actually working towards it. They are gaining the skills necessary to make it happen, and there will be those who will succeed, and where they succeed, not only will they enjoy some amazing fulfillment for what they do, but they will also be the ones who help to inspire other creators to go on their own journey. And one day, through that work, amazing people will rise up through the ranks that will change the industry in ways that we can hardly begin to imagine. It's happening right before our eyes. And I have more videos that will actually dive into how that is happening right now. I'm not going to put that here into this video because this video has already gone on plenty long enough. So if you wish to see the hope that is blossoming right now before our very eyes, where we don't need to worry about Hollywood, we don't need to worry about politics, we don't need to worry about any of that nonsense. It comes down to what we ourselves are able to do. If you want to see the good news that's right now happening and be a part of that adventure, help support other people and receive the support yourself that you need to make your stories the best that they can be, then please subscribe to Camille's Harem. Make sure that you click the bell notification so that way you can be notified for when our future videos come out, especially for our live streams where we come together to work together to help ourselves become the best authors, the best creators that we can possibly be. We hope that you will join us for this incredible adventure that we call writing. Sometimes you just gotta get some weight off your chest. You gotta let out the steam. Sometimes it's a really, really rough ride, but it's an adventure that's so worth it, and it's made even better when you go on it with friends. So with that being said, y'all, thank you so much for being here with us, and until the next video, tschüss.